Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to MyPillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. MyPillow.com. Promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in as we wrap up another week. Thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Here's what we're going to cover today. President Trump says the Iran peace deal could be a week away as Tehran reviews the latest U.S. offer. But there were some tense moments yesterday as President Trump calls U.S. strikes on Iran a little love tap after destroyers were targeted in the Hormuz Strait. The Israeli Defense Forces said yesterday it uncovered a 30-meter underground tunnel and more than 200 Hezbollah sites in southern Lebanon while seizing weapons and intercepting attacks in the area. We have an update from Israel as well. Senator John Kennedy dropped the hammer on best buds Colbert and Obama while suggesting the pair should get a motel room. And U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham joins us to talk about Iran, Logan's Law, congressional redistricting, and his primary election coming up on June 9th. We got a busy one for you. Let's get started.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Iranian forces launched multiple missiles, drones, and small boats at the USS Truxtun, USS Rafael Peralta, and the USS Mason yesterday, according to U.S. Central Command. The command confirmed in a statement shared on X, U.S. forces intercepted unprovoked Iranian attacks and responded with self-defense strikes as U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyers transited the Strait of Hormuz to the Gulf of Oman May 7. The command also said that the destroyers were transiting the international sea passage, saying no U.S. assets were struck. CENTCOM also confirmed forces eliminated inbound threats and targeted Iranian military facilities responsible for attacking U.S. forces, including missile and drone launch sites, command and control locations, and intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance nodes. CENTCOM does not seek escalation but remains positioned and ready to protect American forces, according to the command. Meanwhile, President Trump said yesterday that U.S. retaliatory strikes against Iranian targets were just a love tap and confirmed a ceasefire is still in effect. Speaking to ABC News, the president also said the ceasefire is going before adding it's in effect. And again, just downplaying the back and forth yesterday. President Trump said U.S. forces incinerated Iranian drones during a dramatic clash in the Strait of Hormuz as the U.S. warships came under fire. You think about this, and you would think that Iran has learned their lesson by now, and they keep just sort of it's like a gnat flying around. They don't stand a chance because eventually you're just going to slap them out of the air. And that's what it appears U.S. military did yesterday with these Iranian drones. The U.S. Navy had carried out self-defense strikes on these Iranian targets after, we're told, 3 destroyers were attacked while transiting the strait. Trump shared on True Social, 3 world-class American destroyers just transited very successfully out of the Strait of Hormuz under fire. There was no damage done to the 3 destroyers, but great damage was done to the Iranian attackers. He said they were completely destroyed, along with numerous small boats, which are being used to take the place of their fully decapitated Navy. The president said these boats went to the bottom of the sea quickly and efficiently. Missiles were shot at our destroyers and were easily knocked down. Likewise, drones came and were incinerated while in the air. He went on to describe what had happened. He said that it was led by a bunch of lunatics, and if they had the chance to use a nuclear weapon, they would do it. He just pointed at how unpredictable Iran is. I mean, they're almost destroyed, but yet they still are putting up some resistance. Also, the president yesterday suggested that Iranians would fight back if they had weapons. He talked about Iranians within the country. Iranian dissidents, military analysts, and some Republican lawmakers say they're openly reviving a once-taboo question. Should the West move beyond maximum pressure on Tehran and actively support armed resistance inside of Iran? Trump told my colleague on the Salem News channel, on the Hugh Hewitt show, they have to have guns, he said. And I think they're getting some guns. As soon as they have guns, they'll fight like as good as anybody there is. In just a few minutes, I'm going to be joined by U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, who has suggested the same thing. Senator Graham has said that if Iranian citizens had Second Amendment rights like we do, if they had guns, he feels like that they would fight their way out of this. He'll be with us next segment, so stick around. And I'm going to ask him that question. I'm going to ask him what he thinks about Iranian citizens having guns and what role the U.S. might play in that. Are you open to us supplying arms to the Iranian people? Text me, email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Leave me a message on the MyPillow text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Always use promo code Joey when you go to MyPillow.com and get the very best options and prices that Mike Lindell has to offer. For example, you can get the regular MyPillows, which are $49.98 normally. When you use promo code Joey, only $17.98. Turn any mattress into the best mattress ever with the Made in USA MyPillow My Mattress Topper and save up to $100 when you use promo code Joey. Get a set of MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack of towel set for only $39.98. All of this when you use promo code Joey. You can go to MyPillow.com or call 800-893-4059. Order now and your entire order ships absolutely free when you use promo code Joey. All right, so the comments from the Iranian regime, which it's the weakest that Iran has been since 1979. There's a lot of frustration within the country, we're told. A lot of frustration among the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Because think about this. They're standing by, watching their country, watching their military assets. They saw their supreme leader killed weeks ago. We still don't know where his son is, who's supposedly leading the country now. But we're told that he was injured in that attack as well. He's not out doing public things. Some speculated that he was injured so badly that he's not capable of leading. But the leaders of the Revolutionary Guard, they have to be getting frustrated too, because they're standing by, they're seeing their families, their homes, their infrastructure, their communities being destroyed as well. Some supporters of a more aggressive approach argue that sanctions, diplomacy, and unarmed demonstrations have failed to produce meaningful change inside of Iran. And they say the current moment may represent the best opportunity in decades to challenge the regime from within so that they literally take their country back. Now, of course, critics warn that openly discussing armed resistance could endanger protesters. It could deepen divisions within the opposition and risk pushing Iran toward a civil war. I don't know if a civil war is a bad thing under these circumstances, though. There has to be a regime change, because I don't know that we ever completely trust the regime that is in there now, or at least who we think is in there. So the idea of armed resistance, kind of, if you think back, if you're old enough, is kind of like parts of the Reagan doctrine, the Cold War era strategy in which the U.S. backed anti-Soviet resistance movements around the world, from Afghanistan to Nicaragua. Might not be a bad idea. The Israeli Defense Forces yesterday said that it uncovered a 30-meter underground tunnel and more than 200 Hezbollah sites in southern Lebanon while seizing weapons and intercepting attacks in the area. In a statement from the IDF, it said it was continuing to intercept projectiles and suspicious aerial targets launched towards its soldiers in southern Lebanon. So things are still, between Israel and Lebanon, still a bit of unrest there. We'll continue to watch this, of course, as well. There's a moment no one wants to talk about with weight loss. It's the moment it stops working. Joey Hudson here. The diet that worked before doesn't. The workouts don't hit the same. Even eating less stops moving the scale. That's not random. That's your body protecting itself. Because when your body thinks it's under stress, it slows your metabolism, holds on to fat, and fights you every step of the way. That's why quick fixes eventually fail. Even the popular GLP-1 shots, they suppress appetite, but they don't fix what caused the problem. At PhD Weight Loss, they focus on restoring your metabolism so your body stops fighting you. That's when the real change happens. And right now, when you call or mention Joey, you're going to get 2 weeks free, and they'll pay for the cost of your food. Just call 864-644-1900. Do it right now and get ready for the summer. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com, because the goal isn't to lose weight once. It's to never have to start over again. Call today and tell them Joey sent you. Joining on the guest line, South Carolina Senior Senator Lindsey Graham. Welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. I should get a discount for being senior citizen. Senator.
Senior senator. There you go.
I should get a double discount.
How does it feel being called the senior senator?
Depends on who's calling it. I'm honored to have that title. It's, Willis Fritz Holling was the junior senator for 36 years.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm honored.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it's a busy time for you, I know, with primary election coming up quickly on June 9th, and we'll get to that in just a minute.
Yeah.
First, let's talk a few issues. You've been outspoken on national security issues for years, a leader there, with ongoing tensions involving Iran, concerning China, continued instability overseas. Give us an update of where you see the situation in the Middle East headed.
Well, number one, I think President Trump has delivered a very decisive blow against Iran's nuclear ambitions. We literally destroyed their enrichment facilities. We set back the nuclear program, I think, substantially. We've sunk their Navy. We've obliterated most of their Army. There's some things we could do yet, but I'm very pleased with the military success we've had in such a short period of time. We're working on a diplomatic solution. I'd like to see the war come to an end in a way that Iran can't continue to be the largest state sponsor of terrorism, that they can never have a nuclear weapon, and we can open up the Strait of Hormuz. I'd like to do that peacefully.
Yeah.
If Iran refuses to cooperate, then I think another military operation would be very short. It would be very intense and short, and that's all we would need to do. We could pull back and just watch and see what they do.
Yeah.
They're in a very weakened state. And if we hadn't done this, Iran was about 2 weeks away from having enough material to make 8 to 10 nuclear bombs, and that would have been a nightmare for the world. So to our military, you put me in awe. To President Trump, you did the right thing. The good news is we're inside the 10-yard line, and then oil prices, gas prices will come down, and hopefully we'll have a more stable world. This is the weakest the Iranian regime has been since 1979. I'm hoping we can get a deal here.
Yeah. Senator, you recently posted there is no need for boots on the ground in Iran. Instead, a Second Amendment solution stands a real chance of giving the Iranian people a genuine path back to freedom. Tell us what that looks like.
It looks like people who are willing to go out in the streets, if they had guns, they could change everything.
Yeah.
Why do we have the Second Amendment? The First Amendment is freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, right?
Yep.
Well, you couldn't do any of those things when you had a king. The king wouldn't let you assemble. The king had a state-sponsored church, and if you said something the king didn't like, they'd cut your head off.
Yep.
So when we created our country, we started with those freedoms, and the number 2 amendment was the right to bear arms. The king wouldn't let you have guns because that's a threat to the king. What's the Second Amendment solution to Iran? Provide weapons to the people who are willing to fight. The French resistance really did a number on the Nazis in occupied France. And I believe if we could get weapons into Iran, there are groups there that could use them, and that would do more damage to the IRGC than bombs being dropped from the United States. A well-armed citizenry is missing in Iran, and when it comes to the Second Amendment, it keeps us free.
Right. Yeah. Senator, inflation, affordability, the economy, you mentioned gas prices a minute ago. These are major concerns for most American families. When you've been traveling around South Carolina, what are voters telling you most often about their personal household budgets? And do you see relief soon on gas prices, cost of groceries, and just everyday living costs?
Yeah, I see it tumbling down, quite frankly. We're at the end stages of this conflict. If we left tomorrow, we've done a number on Iran. There's a few more things we can do. If they want to keep terrorizing the world, we can blow up Carg Island, where all their oil and gas infrastructure exists. That put them out of business. They're as weak as they've ever been economically. Yeah, people are hurting. You know, gas prices are not as high as they were under Biden, but that's not the test. They're not as low as I'd like them to be. Now, what's happened here? We're paying a price for the Iranian operation, but if they got a nuclear weapon to terrorize the world and hold us hostage, we could never live free. So what we're doing today is absorbing that pain, but I see not only gas prices coming down soon, staying down, because Iran can no longer be what they were in the past. I think the dividend of doing this operation is not only lower gas prices today, but lower gas prices tomorrow, because Iran is no longer the disruptive factor they used to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know it's tough, but they're coming down.
On our guest line today, Senator Lindsey Graham, you recently held a news conference regarding Logan's Law. For listeners who may not be familiar with it, explain what Logan's Law is designed to do and why you believe it's needed right now.
Well, Logan's Law was named after Logan Federico, who was a beautiful young girl, lived in North Carolina, came to visit friends at the University of South Carolina in Columbia. I think Alexander Dickey was his name. Broke into the house, drug her out of the bedroom, got her on her knees, and shot her with a shotgun, stole her credit card.
Wow.
That same night, he broke into home, set it on fire. He had 9 previous felony convictions, 8 misdemeanor convictions. The system did not adequately keep track of his records. In 2023, he was charged with burglary after serving 3 terms in jail, and the records show that was his first burglary conviction. In fact, he had been convicted twice more burglary, and what this does, it creates a violent criminal registry. It requires every state to list all violent offender cases where you commit an act of violence and you get more than 6 months in jail, to send that to the Attorney General, and we'll have a national data bank. It also shines a light on plea bargaining. It tells you what the charge was, what the maximum sentence was, and what the person actually got. And it tells you how plea bargaining works. This man had 4 parole violations, was a one-man crime wave. If it had the 2 other convictions, before the court, he'd still be in jail and she'd be alive. So I'm creating, with Russell Fry from Myrtle Beach in the House, a national violent crime registry. Every state will have to send to the Attorney General the information I described, so we'll know who the repeat offenders are, and we'll shine a light on the most lenient catch and release judges and prosecutors so we can hold them accountable. I think this law is going to make it tougher on repeat offenders. I can't believe we don't have it already. And if a state doesn't comply and send the data to Washington, the data to the Attorney General, then they'll lose Department of Justice grants. If this law had been in place, she would have been alive.
Yeah. Senator, the GOP primary is coming up quickly, June 9th. Things have gotten a little testy, if you will, with Mark Lynch here in the upstate. Mr. Lynch has had his own issues with being accused of lying about a video where he appeared to suggest cocaine should be legalized, but then claimed it was produced by AI. What is your message to voters who maybe they just don't keep up quite as closely as they should? They're a bit undecided in this race. Why should people reelect Lindsey Graham?
Because if you believe Trump's doing a good job, I'm literally his best friend in the Senate. As budget chairman, I passed a one big, beautiful bill. As budget chairman, I just got reconciliation done, $70 billion for ICE and the Border Patrol. As judiciary chairman, I put more conservative judges on the bench than any chairman in history. I fight for conservative judges. Remember Kavanaugh. If you want to be protected by having a strong military, nobody does that better than me. When it comes to taking care of my backyard, I know how to get things done. I am close to the president. I've delivered for the president. I've delivered for our state. I'm reliable. When it comes to the conservative cause, I'm probably the most prominent pro-life Republican. The victims of unborn violence, 15-week partial birth abortion ban. When it comes to the Second Amendment, I'm a believer and I support it. The bottom line is, you know what you get with me. You may not like everything I do all the time, but on the issues that matter, when it comes to family, when it comes to taxes, I cut them, I don't increase them. When it comes to gun ownership, I support it. When it comes to taking care of the unborn, I'm out front. So the bottom line is I've got people running that talk a lot. And it's one thing to make a mistake. We all do. Apparently, Mr. Lynch claimed that he was pardoned by Bill Clinton. He told a media outlet that. When they asked him, where's the pardon, he can't produce it. He wasn't pardoned by Bill Clinton. And why people say things like that, I don't know. It's one thing to make a mistake, but it's another thing to try to convince people that you're something happened that didn't happen.
Yeah.
There was no AI-generated video. He tried to blame my campaign for a video that talks about where he talked about legalizing cocaine. I think that's a very bad idea.
Yeah.
So right now, it's about electability. He's got more problems than Carter has little pills, and I can beat a Democrat no matter how much money they have. Jamie Harrison spent $132 million to beat me, and it didn't work. I won by over 10 points. So if I get in the general election, there's no Democrat in this state going to beat me. So at the end of the day, I hope you believe that not only I am close to President Trump and I support his agenda, I can win. Yeah. And if I win my primary in the general election, I'll be chairman of the Judiciary Committee yet again. And I promise everybody listening, for 2 years, I'll wake up every morning and go to bed every night thinking about getting conservative judges on that court, taking on social media. I am well positioned to serve this state, to protect our families, to protect our Second Amendment, and to protect our nation, and to be a voice for Donald Trump in the United States Senate. That's why I hope you'll vote for me.
Yeah. Senator, one final question for you. Is President Trump really as good on the golf course as he claims to be?
Better, actually. and I know firsthand. He is one of the best golfers I've ever played with. He's 79. He can hit the ball straight consistently. But more importantly, he's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We play a lot of golf. I get invited back because I lose, not because I'm trying to lose. He's just better than I am. Let me tell you about President Trump. If he found a cure for cancer, the headline would be, millions die before Trump finds cure for cancer.
Yep.
No matter what he does, they try to tear him down. He saved us from a nuclear-armed Iran. He secured our border through force of will. He is my friend. We play a lot of golf, and I have enjoyed getting to know him, and he is very good. And if I had to have somebody make a putt and my life depended on it, I'd pick Donald J. Trump.
Yeah. Senator, it's always a pleasure to spend some time with you. Thank you for what you do for the state of South Carolina, and hope to catch up with you again soon.
Thanks, pal.
Sure
Bye-bye.
thing. Now, South Carolina lawmakers are considering how to handle redistricting in the Palmetto State, and this is an issue that we're going to be hearing a lot about in the coming days. Tennessee moved forward with their plan, where lawmakers passed a new congressional map yesterday that sets up a potential flip of the state's final Democrat seat. Tennessee's very similar to South Carolina. They had one Democrat congressional seat, and it appears they're about to eliminate that based on action they took yesterday. The push to redraw Tennessee's congressional lines could erase the state's final Democrat foothold in our nation's capital. This would cement a 9-0 Republican delegation, and now it's raised concerns about the future of black voter representation in Memphis. Democrats were not happy and tried to hold the floor as long as they could to prevent a vote.
This is an insult to Memphis. This is an insult to the black community, and it's an insult to me as a mother. This is not about making Memphis matter. Memphis already mattered. Memphis matters in our economy. Memphis matters in the history of our country. And Memphis matters because we have a vote and representation in Congress that's being stripped today. This is a political monopoly. This is how democracy dies in our face. And it's not always with violence in the street. It is those secret meetings you have in the back of your rooms. America is watching you right now. The world is watching you right now. Your family members are watching you right now. Your community is watching you right now. And what type of legacy will you lead and leave with your vote today? You may have the votes to pass this map, but you don't have the moral authority to do what's right. To move the finish line further back after the race has already started is immoral. It's immoral.
Now, if you listen real closely, and that was Tennessee State Senator London Lamar, in the background you could hear chanting as protesters outside of the chamber were trying to disrupt what was happening in the chamber, while the Democrats were basically trying to offer a bit of a filibuster unsuccessfully. And despite the disruptions from Democrat lawmakers, the Republican-controlled legislature passed them out. They advanced the measure to Governor Bill Lee for his expected signature. And again, the new map targets the 9th Congressional District, the state's sole majority black district and its last remaining Democrat stronghold. It's going to be very similar to what we may see right here in South Carolina when they're targeting James Clyburn's 6th Congressional District. Republican lawmakers argue that the shifts reflect the state's overall political identity. Tennessee has trended increasingly red over the past several election cycles. New lines align with the state's conservative lean, they say. The legislative session was marked by a lot of high tension protest tactics from the minority party, and these were not procedural tactics like you typically see in a legislative body. These were disruptive, almost violent disruption techniques. As the vote neared, Democrat lawmakers in the House linked arms. They used air horns to drown out the proceedings. These are state legislators doing this now. The unrest extended up into the galleries, where Tennessee state troopers were called in to maintain order. Law enforcement held back protesters who attempted to reach the chamber floor as the vote was taking place. And again, you heard the demonstrations within the legislative chambers there. They were chanting, "Hands off our votes, hands off our votes." And, I could see the video. And these were primarily African-American protesters. There were a few white people in the crowd, mostly African-Americans, protesting the vote. Democrats characterized the move as a direct assault on minority representation. You heard the clip a minute ago of State Senator London Lamar. She's from the Memphis area. She criticized redistricting, saying that the decision is a creating a political monopoly. Well, look, if your state and if your area, in the Memphis area particularly, has changed to a predominantly Republican area, because Tennessee won big for Donald Trump. So you have to come to the realization that things have changed in your state, and you're the minority party now. And you have to understand what being the minority party means. Senator Lamar told the chamber that while the GOP may have the votes to pass the map, they lack the moral authority to do so, she said. She said it was an insult to the black community. The city of Memphis, warning that decision has awakened a sleeping giant. Sounds like threats to me. What about you? State Senator Charlene Oliver echoed those sentiments. She claimed the state's political landscape is manufactured. She said, Tennessee is not a red state. Tennessee is my gerrymandered state. We are a suppressed state. Well, she's right about one thing. It's gerrymandered. The one black district that was there was gerrymandered. It had to be. Just like South Carolina's 6th congressional district, Tennessee had to work real hard to get a black district in their state as well for their 9th congressional district. Now, this map that it appears is going to go into effect was first presented this week as part of a broader redistricting push that was backed by U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn, who is the favored candidate to replace Governor Lee. Ms. Blackburn posted on X, I urge our state legislature to reconvene to redistrict another Republican seat in Memphis. It's essential to submit real Donald Trump's agenda and the golden age of America. She said, I vowed to keep Tennessee a red state, and as governor, I'll do everything I can to make this map a reality, and it looks like it's going to be a reality. Now it's going to be, the big question is, which other states follow suit? Does South Carolina follow suit? And we'll know that pretty soon, because the South Carolina Senate is set to take this up when they reconvene in Columbia next Tuesday. And we'll know pretty quickly if South Carolina is also going to redistrict their congressional districts. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. Joining me on the guest line, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Joey. I hope it's today a good day to be a duck. Is that what it's all this rain? Did everybody get their prayers answered? I know our farmers did.
Well, we needed it. Yes, today is a good day to be a duck, but I got to tell you, Jesse and Simon are not happy. That they do not like putting on their little rain booties and going out into the rain.
Oh, I can imagine. None of us do. I mean, we know we need it. We were praying for it. Our farmers were praying for it. But boy, when we open our eyes and see the rain, don't we just go, oh my gosh, what am I going to wear today?
Yep.
Do I have to go out in this rain? I know.
And boy, it just poured overnight. It was just crazy. But we do need it for sure. All right. So Governor McMaster announced this week that he will not call a special session of the South Carolina General Assembly to redraw congressional maps. Of course, this is all in response to the Supreme Court ruling last week that race does not have to be a factor in drawing these districts. Now, yesterday, the South Carolina House voted to give themselves the option to extend the session to redraw the districts. Now, all eyes are on the state Senate as to whether or not they adopt that as well. Do you support redrawing the districts and possibly eliminating what is considered the only Democrat congressional district in the Palmetto State?
So Joey, I have talked about this long before the Supreme Court ruling because people are talking about it.
Yeah.
Long before I've heard, I've been in that district and people have said, I don't feel like my vote counts. And, I wish this was a better district. And so we need to do the will of our people. And we you and I have talked for 8 years about how do we get people out to vote?
Yep.
If people become, upset and they feel like their vote doesn't matter, then they're not going to go out and vote. And, yesterday, the governor came out with a statement last Friday. Him and I had long conversations on Thursday. On Friday, he came out and said, I'm encouraging the General Assembly, and this is in my words, this is not his direct quote, but basically he encourages the General Assembly to go in and make sure that our map is drawn properly based on the new Supreme Court ruling. And so, I talked with House leadership. Yesterday I was on the House floor. When I saw it being argued, I got back to my office and turned on my TV and saw they were arguing it. So I went upstairs and, before I got to the State House, Joey, I went from Greenville to the Rock Hill, Lancaster area, back down to Columbia. I had many stops in between. And this is what people were talking about.
Yeah.
They were like, about time. We should absolutely redraw a district. So, everybody wants to make this, Trump is bullying. I was on the floor when the Democrats were talking about how Trump is putting this through. They're tone deaf. They need to listen to the people in these districts.
Yeah.
And that's what they're saying they want done.
Mm-hmm. There were reports that President Trump may have called some members of leadership. Did you hear that? Can you confirm that?
People have asked me if I have talked to the president. I said, I'm always a business person at heart. And do you know how you keep your friends, Joey? You keep private conversations private. Yeah. It's like it's the right thing to do. I think, Senator Massey came out and said he talked to the president. If he wants to talk about his conversations, that is fine. But this is something that the president, this is no secret to anybody. Yeah. He's very passionate about this. We've seen every other red state, Tennessee with Governor Lee. You've seen Governor DeSantis. You've seen Governor Abbott, Governor Kehoe up north. You've seen Kay Ivey, Tate Reeves. President Trump has done what President Trump has always done. He has definitely brought a spotlight to an age-old problem that the Democrats created. Just look at the whole New England area. Where's the representation for conservative voices there?
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And when he put a spotlight on just exactly what the Democrats are doing, the Democrats do what they always do. They try to flip the narrative. They try to act like, we're doing something wrong. They go to the don't look here. We don't want you to look at what we're doing. And they've been caught in it again. So thank you to President Trump for once again shining a spotlight on exactly what's been going wrong across our country with these congressional maps.
Yeah. So how would this work? And with me today, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette. Would we delay the June 9th primary potentially, or is it possible that all this can be done before June 9th?
Well, we'll see. The sine die that was voted on late yesterday, it'll go to the Senate. I thought I read somewhere that was going to be the first thing they were going to take up.
Yeah.
We'll see if the Senate has, if they're going to concur. I know they think they need a 2/3 vote to concur. And then I think people are still, the last time I checked with legal in our office was to see, do we have the actual power to delay that? I'm still waiting on a response. I think it always kind of comes back to the Constitution.
Yeah.
It should always be our guidebook. Do we have the power to do that? So I think we're going to see a lot get played out today.
Yeah. There you see various maps that have been posted on social media. I don't know where some of these come from, but there's some, showing just totally different districts. Is it possible that some current members of Congress could end up in different districts?
I think if you redraw the map, common sense would tell me that, that could happen,
Yeah.
or you could, your district would change. So yeah, these maps, I tell everybody, my mom, we talk about my mom a lot. She's 97. Sometimes I have to remind her on a weekly basis to not believe everything she sees on Facebook.
So you're reminding me now, huh?
I know. I'm reminding you and the listeners,
Yeah.
Facebook should not be. It is the home of cheap AI. Let's not take a whole lot of our news from there. But Speaker Smith and Representative Caskey, they laid it out very well. They're like, this is a resolution to say we're going to come back. This is not a resolution that votes on a specific map. And so if a suggestion came from somewhere, if somebody brought that forward, nobody has even looked at it or has dove into it. So I think everybody we've taken the first hurdle. The House has voted. Let's see what the Senate does. And then let's roll up our sleeves and do our job and make sure that we're now in line with the Supreme Court's ruling.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to watch because, Senator Massey has said that he was not supportive of it. Now, depending on what effect that phone call from the president may have had, he may have changed his mind on that. But and of course, we're talking today just about the congressional seats. You got the legislative seats that eventually will have to be redrawn too, right?
Yeah, that was something that I know they were talking about in the General Assembly yesterday, and how much would that affect them and their election. But it's interesting. Senator, I've heard from a lot of people, I have a lot of supporters in his district who are saying, thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for listening to us and standing up for what we want. So I think Senator Massey needs to go into his district and talk to the people who voted him in office and do their will, because, it's the one thing I've always said, and we've seen it time and time again. When you don't do the will of the people that vote you in, you're voted in to be their collective voice.
Right. And
I've heard it said in my years at the State House, there have been a lot of people that have been elected into office that don't take that very seriously and has said, I will do what I think is best.
Yep.
That's not why we're elected. We're elected the will of the people that put us there to be their collective voice. And so I would say go back to your district and see what your people are saying, because my supporters there are saying thank you for for standing up for what's right.
Yeah. Well, look, where was it this week? Was Indiana, where 5 of 8 Trump-endorsed state senators were ousted?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, but is that a telling sign to the strength of the president, or in part does it have to do with what I've been saying, since we started talking?
Well,
the will of those voters needed to be done,
right?
And did they look at their representation and say, you know what, I don't know that this represents me anymore?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a combination of both, but I think it also shows you that Trump has he listens to people, and he kind of has this intuitive ability to know what people really want. Whereas evidently these state senators, and again, wasn't it Indiana? I think it was Indiana.
It was.
Yeah, where these state senators had the attitude you're just talking about. We know better than the people.
Well, and I think that's dangerous. That's dangerous for them. And, that has been part of the president's superpower.
Yep.
How many times, Joey, have we been out and about and people say, I just like that he's saying what I'm thinking. I just like that he says it like it is. I like that he listens more than, he listens to what we're saying, and he takes that and he puts it out there.
Yeah.
And so I think that's always been a superpower of the president. And tune in and listen to what he's saying. He's hearing it. He's hearing it from the people that put him in office, and
right.
he's always felt that way. And that is always the impression I've got when I was around the president. Is he cares about American business. He cares about American workers. He cares about American farmers. He is unapologetic for being the leader of this amazing country. And that's where his loyalties lie. And I think, that's what people have always liked about him. That has been the draw to the president. And so I think everybody sitting in office should take note of that.
Yep, absolutely. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Abbott, always a pleasure, and we'll catch up again soon.
Thanks so much, Joe. I hope everybody has a great weekend.
Yep, stay dry. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined our mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Just click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, find me on YouTube. Be sure and like, subscribe, follow me on my YouTube channel. Just search for Joey Hudson. Appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day with me. Be sure and forward this edition of Just the Truth to some friends. Just click on the share button. Send it to a few of your contacts, because if we're going to build our community and if we're going to win in November, we got to build an army of conservatives. The way we beat Joe Biden is through educating people, and no better way than encouraging them to listen to Just the Truth. Hey, keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Your emails always welcome as well. Joey@joeyhudson.com. Don't forget to take advantage of the MyPillow special, $25 for the My Towels 6-piece towel set when you use promo code Joey. Just go to mypillow.com.